The day my son told me there was no place for me at his new house celebration, something inside me broke. But what happened exactly 1 week later shocked me even more. A single phone call changed everything. He sounded confident, certain, like he already knew what my answer would be. But after I replied with 6 simple words, the entire conversation took a turn he never expected. Welcome back to Behind Dad. If you enjoy emotional family stories filled with life lessons, family drama, and unforgettable twists, subscribe and join us. Also, the photos and scenes shown throughout this story are visual recreations created to help bring the events to life. My name is Daniel Brooks. I'm 69 years old, and for most of my life, the title I valued more than anything else was Dad. My son, Ethan, is my only child. After his mother passed away years ago, it was just the two of us. I worked long hours. I took extra shifts. I sacrificed sleep, comfort, and opportunities, so he could have opportunities one never had. I never complained. I never kept track of what I gave, because parents aren't supposed to keep score. At least that's what I always believed. A few months ago, Ethan called me with exciting news. He and his wife, Jessica, had purchased a beautiful new home. I was truly happy for them. I remembered helping him save money for his first apartment. Now he owned a house of his own. As a father, it felt like one of those moments you dream about. A few weeks later, I heard they were organizing a large housewarming celebration. Friends, family, neighbors, coworkers. It sounded like everyone was invited. Or at least, that's what I thought. 3 days before the party, I called Ethan and casually asked what time I should arrive. The silence on the other end felt strange. Too strange. Then he cleared his throat. "Dad, we're already over capacity." I laughed. I honestly thought he was joking. He wasn't. He started explaining that there wasn't enough room. Too many guests. Too many commitments. And then he said something I never imagined I would hear from my own son. "We decided not to invite you." For a moment, I couldn't speak. I wasn't angry. I was hurt. Deeply hurt. I felt embarrassed, confused, and completely blindsided. I wasn't asking for special treatment. I was his father. But I didn't argue. I wished him a good celebration and ended the call. That night, I sat alone in my house. Part of me tried to convince myself not to care. But another part couldn't stop wondering what had changed. How did we get here? Later that evening, I saw photos online. Dozens of guests. A huge backyard. Plenty of space. More than enough space. And in that moment, a painful truth hit me. There had always been room for me. They simply didn't want me there. I tried to move forward, but exactly 1 week later, my phone rang. The screen showed Ethan's name, and before that call ended, he would ask me for something he never should have assumed I would give. I stared at the phone for a few seconds. Part of me wanted to ignore it, not because I wanted revenge. I just wasn't ready. The pain was still fresh, but he was my son. So I answered, "Ethan." His voice sounded unusually cheerful. Almost too cheerful. Like nothing had happened. Like he hadn't excluded me from one of the biggest moments of his life. For several minutes, he made small talk. He asked about my health. Talked about the weather. Talked about the house. Everything felt forced. Then finally, he revealed the real reason for the call. "Dad, I need your signature today." Just like that. No apology. No explanation. No acknowledgement of what he had done. Only a request. Actually, it sounded more like an expectation. I asked him what he meant. He explained that the bank needed additional paperwork connected to the mortgage. Apparently, a last-minute issue had appeared, and the lender wanted a guarantor. The way he spoke made it sound like the problem was already solved, as if my signature was guaranteed. I sat quietly. My heart wasn't racing. I wasn't furious. I was disappointed, and disappointment cuts differently. Then I gave him 6 words. Ask the people who replaced me. The silence was immediate, heavy, awkward, painful. For the first time during the conversation, Ethan had nothing to say. A few seconds later, I quietly hung up. When the call ended, guilt crept in. Parents know that feeling, even when they're the ones who were hurt. Part of me wondered if I had gone too far, but another part remembered sitting alone while strangers celebrated inside my son's new house. The next few days were unusually quiet. No calls, No messages. Nothing. Then I received an unexpected visit. My sister Linda stopped by. She had attended the housewarming party, and when she found out I wasn't invited, she had been shocked. What she told me that afternoon changed everything. According to Linda, the decision hadn't started with Ethan. It started with Jessica, and there was a reason she didn't want me there. A reason nobody had told me. As Linda continued talking, my confusion only grew, because it wasn't about space. It wasn't about guest limits. And it definitely wasn't about scheduling. There was another reason hidden beneath the entire situation. A reason directly connected to the house itself. And once I learned the truth, Ethan's phone call suddenly made perfect sense. After Linda left, I sat alone for nearly an hour. Her words kept replaying in my head. The housewarming party had never been about space. It had been about appearances. According to Linda, Jessica was worried that some of her wealthy friends might see me as someone who didn't fit their image. I wish I could say that made me angry, but honestly, it just made me sad, because all those years I spent teaching Ethan about character suddenly felt very distant. But Linda wasn't finished. Before she left, she revealed something even more shocking. The new house wasn't nearly as financially secure as everyone believed. In fact, Ethan and Jessica had stretched themselves to the absolute limit to buy it. The expensive furniture, the renovations, the luxury upgrades, almost everything had been financed. From the outside, the house looked perfect. Inside, pressure was building. A lot of pressure. Suddenly, Ethan's request made much more sense. The bank wasn't asking for my signature as a simple formality. They needed security. Someone dependable. Someone stable. Someone with assets. Someone like me. That realization hurt more than I expected. Not because they needed help, but because they only remembered me when they needed something. Several days passed without contact. Then one evening, there was a knock on my door. When I opened it, Ethan was standing there. Alone. No Jessica. No confidence. No smile. He looked exhausted. The kind of exhaustion that comes from carrying stress for too long. I invited him inside. For several minutes, neither of us spoke. Then finally, he broke the silence. "Dad, I messed up." His voice cracked, and for the first time since all this started, I saw genuine regret. Not regret about the bank. Not regret about the loan. Regret about how he had treated me. Ethan admitted that he had allowed other people's opinions to influence his decisions. He wanted acceptance. He wanted approval. He wanted a lifestyle that looked successful. And somewhere along the way, he forgot about the people who had always stood beside him, including me. Then he revealed something I never expected, something that completely changed the conversation. He confessed that the housewarming party hadn't even been his idea, and the truth about who pushed hardest for my exclusion was creating serious problems inside his marriage. Ethan sat across from me with tears in his eyes. For a moment, I didn't see a grown man struggling with mortgage payments. I saw the little boy I used to take fishing every Saturday morning. The little boy who believed his father could solve anything. Then he told me everything. Jessica had become obsessed with appearances. The perfect neighborhood. The perfect house. The perfect guest list. The perfect image. She constantly worried about what other people thought. And when the party was being planned, she decided certain people didn't fit that image. One of those people was me. Ethan admitted he should have defended me. He should have spoken up. He should have said no. Instead, he stayed silent, and that silence hurt more than being excluded. For several minutes, neither of us said a word. Then I asked him one simple question. If the bank wasn't involved, would you be here today? The question hit him hard. He lowered his head. After a long pause, he answered honestly, "Probably not." The truth hurt, but I respected it, because healing begins with honesty, not excuses. Over the following weeks, Ethan started making difficult changes. Not financial changes, personal ones. He began setting boundaries. He started standing up for himself. He began valuing relationships more than appearances. Eventually, the mortgage problem was solved. Without my signature. Without my money. Because some lessons can only be learned the hard way. Several months later, Ethan invited me to a small family barbecue. Nothing fancy. Just family. This time, he greeted me personally at the front door. Then, in front of everyone, he said something I'll never forget. The most important person here almost wasn't invited. The entire backyard became quiet. Then he looked directly at me. And that's the biggest mistake I've ever made. For the first time in a very long time, I felt seen. Not because I needed recognition, but because I knew he finally understood. If this story touched your heart, leave a comment below and share your thoughts. And if you believe parents should never be forgotten after success arrives, share this story with someone who needs that reminder. Also, the photos and scenes shown throughout this video are visual recreations designed to support the storytelling experience and help bring the story to life. Thank you for watching Behind Dad. And remember this, the people who stand beside you during your hardest years deserve a place beside you during your best years too. I'll see you in the next one.